manifest. So get ready to rise, cause we about to be the best. Gotta switch it up, gotta break the old habits. Get your mind right, turn your dreams into habits. No negative vibes, only positive thoughts.
What is up, guys? What is up? Welcome to another episode of the Mindset Cafe podcast. It's your boy Devin, and today is the 200th episode. And with that being said, there's your boy Nick.
What up, guys?
And so today, we'll recap a lot of the things that we've, talked about over 200 episodes, lessons learned, strategies, topics, tools, you name it, as well as, we'll go a little rogue on some of the stuff. It's just kind of a free flow episode. But mainly, talking about some things to still benefit you guys, but we do want to show our gratitude and appreciation for everyone that has supported and followed thus far, to 100 more episodes or 200 more episodes, there we go. But with that being said, let's just dive into a little bit of, like the journey of the podcast, like, since we first started, right? Did you ever think that we were going to make it to 200 episodes?
Yeah. No, I mean, I didn't have a specific number in mind, but honestly, like 200 that's a serious number. You know what I mean? For those people that do listen to podcasts or things like that, like at least like a lot of people have mentioned that like it's hard to reach even like 50 episodes, right? So I mean, 200 is definitely a big accomplishment, and I did kind of honestly imagine us reaching like 200 episodes, somewhere in the hundreds. So definitely.
So I mean, some of the things, waiting for some of y'all to hop on and stuff like that. Some of the things, we'll talk about is, again, some of the tools and stuff like that we've learned and that you guys have heard me talk with some guests and stuff, in terms of mindset, in terms of personal growth. But what are some of the lessons that you guys have taken away from the podcast, right? What's a lesson that you've learned? What's a tool that you've started implementing from the Mindset Cafe? Put it in the comments. Let us know what's your
favorite episode,
or what's your favorite episode. That's a good one too. What kind of things have you guys learned and started implementing, right? But I feel like it's only fair that we start off the importance of mindset, right? Because again, it is the Mindset Cafe, and we are here and talking about mindset in every area of life. So why don't you start off with, just the importance of mindset in achieving success?
I think mindset is important in every aspect of life. And it's definitely success. Like if our mindset or our frame of thinking, or even like, how we train our perspectives and things like that, if it's not in line, or at least we don't train it or strengthen it in every, progressive way, I don't think anything is accomplishable, whether it's success or even any kind of form of progress. You know what I mean? Even when it comes to working out, like the physical stuff, setting a goal in your fitness and in your health, if you don't have the proper mindset, like it's going to be very hard, if not nearly impossible, to make any progress or get anywhere with that. You know what I mean? And that obviously that goes with like your relationship, career, literally every avenue of your life. It's like it all starts up here. I'm sure everybody has heard that. It all starts with your mind, because anything that we kind of formulate, or how we perceive things to be up here, is how everything else follows, as far as like our body, our energy, like our, our intent, our effort, and all that, and how we, like, when people say, some people just talk negative, or they're kind of always a Debbie Downer or whatever. It's like those people, in a sense, it's like it's harder for them to make any progress or achieve goals. At least I would imagine, because since like their outlook or their perspective on everything is kind of always like on a downhill. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like those more like people that are more optimistic and kind of try to see the lighter side, or at least like try to find solutions and things, are the ones that are more than likely to be really the ones that attain their goals and achieve like what they're trying to go for.
No, definitely. I mean, I think like everything begins and ends with your mindset, right? And I thought you were about to say the quote, if you want to achieve something, the Conor McGregor quote, if you want to achieve something, you have to see it in here first.
I've never seen that.
But it is true, right? If you can envision it and you can see it being something that works out and you can see yourself achieving it, it's possible. The moment that you stop seeing that it is a reality, it's the moment you stop believing that you can achieve it, is the moment it becomes impossible. So everything begins and ends with your mindset, right? So everything that we've talked about, every episode that we cover, it all comes down to believing in yourself and knowing that you can overcome any obstacle that's thrown at you as long as you're willing to go for it, right? In that, every obstacle you have fears, you have, doubts about it. And even for like the podcast, right? Launching the podcast, the first few episodes when we talked about, just anything on the podcast, it was like, man, what are people going to think about what we're saying? What are people going to say about us starting a podcast? And then you do it, and then people just, realize that that's just what you do, right? That's all of a sudden they ask, hey, how's the podcast going? Hey, I listened to that episode, or, they share the episode, and you're like, wow, that's so cool, right? So a lot of times fear is all in your head as well. And it comes down to that like spotlight theory that, we've covered in the past, where everyone thinks that they have a spotlight on them and everyone is paying attention to every little thing that you do. And in reality, everyone has their own spotlight on them. So the fears that you have, 9 times out of 10, they're only in your head. No one else is really judging you. No one else is really, putting you in a spotlight. It's all mental.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree 100% too, as far as like, the whole fear thing. And I think when we feel when we feel fear, right? And like you've mentioned it before, where fear is like, it comes from the unknown, right? The not knowing. But the thing is, and also too, like when it comes to like external factors, like you're afraid of what people are going to say, or you're afraid that the spotlight is on you. When you have those feelings, it's like the next thing that should come up in your mind is like, okay, so what's next? Like, meaning what I'm trying to get at is like, at some point you're going to have to overcome that fear, right? Or at least like find a solution to that fear so that you can achieve your goal, you can attain what you're trying to do. But it has to come from your mindset. It has to come from you overcoming that fear, or, having a different perspective on it. And again, it comes back to your perspective, like behind you, in your eyes, pretty much. So,
no, it's true. I mean, fear again is that unknown. I've mentioned, with franchisees, because starting a business, like we've talked about, it's scary, right? And overcoming, trying to do a fitness journey again, and it hasn't worked out in the past. It's scary because you don't want to try it, let people know that you're doing it, and all of a sudden it doesn't work out again. But you have to think like striving, no pun intended, but striving for your goals and striving for the lifestyle that you want. At the end of the day, your fear is stopping you from going for it. But what happens if it turns out and it all works out, right? What if it's better than you could ever imagine, right? What happens if it doesn't work out? What's the worst that can happen? You try again. What's the worst that's going to happen? You pivot and do something else. What's, like, it's not the downside isn't as bad as the upside is good. So really your scale of balance just has to be recentered so that you realize that you have more on the upside than you do on the downside, and take that, to your mindset, I guess, to your head, and realize that, take action. You fall, dust it off, get back on there, champ.
Yeah, and I think like the fear and the failure, the fear and failing and stuff, it goes back. We've said it before too. It's like, like what if this happens? What if that happens? Or what if I fail? So on and so forth. It's like, but what if you don't? You know what I mean? It's like, is that it? Are you just gonna give up? Are you just not gonna ever try again? You know what I mean? And I think we have to have that understanding that it's like, you only have a certain amount of time, right? It goes back to one of my favorite things, at least, like no regret. And understanding that like time is so limited, and it is the most valuable thing that we have, and understanding that the choices that we make and like the how we perceive things and our mindset and how we approach every single thing that we come across in our life, fitness, career, relationships, you know, even who you are as a person every single day, how you view that, it's like, remember that you're not going to get that day back. You know what I mean? So like how you take action and how you perceive things is completely up to you. And like just being grateful for the first thing, I think definitely helps with making the right decisions. But also it's like, are you going to keep wasting every single day like with the fear of not wanting to do something or fear of something else, when again that fear is just in your head and it's holding you back from making the best and putting your best effort within each day and trying to pursue or at least make progress, make yourself a step better than you were yesterday. Because I mean, even if the smallest thing that you procrastinated or you were afraid of doing for a task or whatever it may be for the next day, and you were able to do it and accomplish it, you are that much better than you were yesterday. Mm-hmm. You know, and no one can take that away from you.
No, definitely. I mean, you got to realize that there's lessons in failure, right? And there's lessons in success. But at the same time, you being scared of achieving those goals, and realizing and being, I guess, just scared to fail, that's the only thing really holding you back, right? You have to embrace failure as not a failure, but as a lesson, and use that as your fuel to essentially try again, right? This isn't the first business that, you know, I've started. This is the first, you know, pivot that we both taken. And it's like, you realize that you can always adjust and continue to move forward, right? You just have to be willing to get up again and go for it, right? Because if you don't, then no one's going to come and save you, right? That's the biggest thing, is it is your life. If you have a vision, if you have a goal that was put in your head for a reason, and you need to go for it, right? Because again, you only do have one time at this, and what are you going to do? You know, look back on it when you're 70, 80 and be like, man, I wish I would have started working out again. And I wish I would have started a business. I wish I would have, and then fill in the blank, right? And so just take that step. You know, after 200 episodes of you know, us talking and talking to guests, there's a common theme. The common theme is essentially people just took another step. They got up again and they tried again. It didn't work out. They got up again. They tried again. If you didn't get that, rewind it real quick and listen to that again. Right?
Damn, that was that was a hard hitting line right there.
I mean, I was gonna say it a couple of times and I was like, nah. But truly, that's all it is. It seems, life seems so much more complicated than it is. All it is trying and failing and trying and failing and trying and failing, right? And so it didn't work out this time, and again, fill in the blank. So what? No one remembers the failures. They only remember the successes, right? We've referenced this in the past. Right now, Elon Musk is on the spotlight, right? So we'll use him as an example. Do you remember that he was one of the founders of PayPal, right? No. You think of him as Tesla. You don't even think of him as the person that did not a flamethrower. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like people only see the successes and remember those. Man, remember that one time, you know, and then they put your success in there. Remember that one time and then again, put that success in there. So it's like all the failures leading up only lead to success feeling that much better. Mm-hmm. It only leads up to your achievements having value. Because if it was that easy, yeah, everyone would be doing it. No, but it wouldn't feel great to achieve it. So at the end of the day, you realize every time it doesn't work out and you try again, realize it's just going to feel that much better when you come out on the other side.
Yeah. And I just want to say a quick reminder for those of you guys that are watching. Again, drop in the comments some of your favorite episodes or some of your favorite lessons that we covered in the past, or some of the key points that you guys that really resonated with you, you know. And we want to touch up on it and kind of like go over it a little bit, but that way we know what some of your guys' favorite episodes as well. But going off of what you said, one speech that I saw that really stuck with me, that goes hand in hand with what you were saying, was Denzel Washington. He was standing at, I honestly forgot what college he was speaking to, but he was on a podium, right? Mm-hmm. And then he was saying that, you know, when you're on your deathbed and you're surrounded by these ghosts, and the ghosts are like the goals and the things that you wanted to achieve in your life, but you never went after it. right? And it's like those ghosts are the ones that are coming back to haunt you, but right at the very last moment when there is no more time left for you to even try, right? And he was saying that what are the ghosts that you're going to be facing when you get closer towards that end? You know what I mean? And breaking that down a little bit more, it's like what you said. It's like you got to get up and try again. It's like having us trying and pursuing a certain goal or anything in life. As long as you try and you put the effort in and you just don't give up, or you just don't, you don't even try something because of fear or whatever other factor, external factor there may be. Even when you're at the very end, when you're on your deathbed, I honestly don't think those ghosts are going to be there to haunt you, because you know that you left everything on the table, right? And I think when I used to play football in high school, before I could have gone pro, but I tore my ACL. I'm just kidding. But my coach used to tell us this one thing, that leave everything on the field. Whether win or lose, leave everything on the field, so that when you do walk off, you can hold your head up high, knowing that you gave it everything that you have. There are no regrets.
Right.
So,
I mean, again, even like for like the sports side of it, it's like you don't win all the time, right? But if you gave all of your effort and all of your attention, all your focus, and you put the hours in and it doesn't work out, you can't be hard on yourself for it not working out. Sometimes you haven't developed enough skills. Sometimes you haven't put in enough time. Sometimes it's just not your time. But that doesn't mean the next time won't be, right? And so you get back in there, you practice, you train, you get resources, whatever the case is, and you go back at it just as hard the next time.
Get back in there, champ.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's all it is. And that's the craziest thing is like everyone listens to these motivational podcasts and motivational quotes and all these things. And what you have to realize is motivation is fleeting, right? Both of us don't feel like working out every day. Both of us don't feel like, working every day. Both of us, we're just like you. And so realizing that the feelings, the mental space that you're in, you're not alone, right? And so once you acknowledge that and realize that everyone else is going through their own shit as well, what's the difference? What's your excuse? Right? You don't feel like it? Boo-hoo. No one does. Now what? Right? And that's the biggest thing. Like, once you ask yourself, now what? It kind of solves a lot of the problems. I'm too tired today. Okay, so I'm not going to go. Now what? And if you really just start to do that, like, be hard on yourself. Push yourself, and it gets easier. I'm not saying it becomes easy. It gets easier, right?
You get stronger.
You get stronger both physically, you get stronger mentally. But at the end of the day, you just got to continue to move forward, and it starts to become a habit, and the habits are easier to do. Like, you don't feel like brushing your teeth every day now. God, I hope you do. But, it's one of those things where that's became a habit because you've done it so many times, regardless of how tired you are, right? Everything else is the same, right? That skill just seems simple because you brush your teeth and it's, a couple minutes. Okay. You have 24 hours in the day. You can't tell me you can't achieve something. And if you looked at your phone screen and all of a sudden you see that you're on TikTok or Instagram for 3 hours, come on, 30 of that you could have, worked on your side project that you're working on. 30 of that you could have gone and worked out. 30 of that you could have just read a book. 30 of that you could have just self-reflected. Whatever, like, fill in the blank with something proactive that would make you a better you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, what I want to touch on, like, when you said, like, you're tired. If I had a nickel for every time somebody, a member in here in the gym, has looked at me, looked up, and I looked at them, and they said, "I'm tired," I would probably have $1 million. I'm being dead serious. Like, I hear it constantly on a daily basis, that you're tired. And then one of my, go-to responses is, okay, keep going. Or I tell them, that's okay. It's okay to be tired. You're already here. You showed up, right? And that goes with, like, one of the, kind of us reviewing the past episodes. That is one of the episodes that we covered, or topics, is the fact of, is it enough just to show up? just to say, oh, I did it. You know, I just showed up. That's not really enough. Because yes, it is a good thing. It's a step forward that you did make it to the gym and you showed up. And then you, even though you're as tired as exhausted as you may be, right? You did your responsibility and you showed up. But also, in addition to that, don't just show up and then kind of half-ass it. You know, no matter how exhausted you are, you go as hard as you can with that version of yourself that is fully exhausted. And that's what I try to articulate with the people when they say I'm tired. And it's like, it's okay to be tired. I say it's okay to be tired because everyone gets tired. But the point is, go at that exercise, go with those reps as hard as you can, no matter how tired you are. You know, it's not going to be as, you know, it's not going to be as best as when you're not tired, but still, you have to go 100%, even on the days that you are shot down, you're broken down, you're beat down, because it's not enough just to show up. You have to show up and show out.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's the only thing that's fleeting is your time. So if you're going to show up to do something and you're not going to give it your full intent, then what's the point of showing up at all, right? You might as well go do something else and not waste the one thing you don't get back. Mm-hmm. And I remember when before Strive was open and we were training at the park, remember my one client that was coming, Leslie?
Yeah.
And she was like, you know, I'm here, isn't that enough? And I was like, what? And she was like, I'm here, isn't that enough? Like, I showed up. And I was like, you can go to the library and not read, right? And it's like, you know, like, what do you want me to do? Give you a cookie? Like, you fucking showed up, cool. So did I. You know, now what, right? So it really comes down to, just because you showed up doesn't mean anything. If you're not going to put the work in and you're not going to give it your full attention, then why show up at all, right? Because again, this is the only thing you don't get back. If you show up and you're not going to give your full effort and your full attention, then that's probably not your true goal. It's maybe a dream, but how bad do you truly want it? That's what you have to really think about. Anything that is worth value in achieving your goals, not just financially, the cost is going to be there. Your time, your effort, your tiredness, you know, whatever the case may be, you have to be willing to fork over that cost in order to see the other side and see the result. It's not always fun. It's not always pretty. It's not always, you know, a good time. But that's what separates basically people that see that end goal and the other people that always talk about achieving that end goal one day. And then one day never comes. Which one are you going to be?
It was all a dream. And I do want to add to that too, because, you know, I saw that she's actually watching the live right now. And I do want to give her kudos. Like, this person is, you know, experiencing an injury right now, and, you know, it's a lower body injury. But the fact of this person showing up still to the gym and working out, and yeah, we do have to modify the exercises because it's not a light injury or anything like that. But the fact that she shows up, and she knows who I'm talking about, and goes as hard as she can, even with the modifications and finding workarounds with, you know, specific exercises with that injury, that is a perfect example of not just showing up to show up or allowing excuses to, oh, it's okay, I'll try again next time. Mm-hmm. You know, that's a perfect example. And I give her mad kudos for that, because like I see that, you know, with an injury and still pushing through as hard as you can every day on the workouts. It's like, I'm proud of you. Like, I'm proud of you, you know? So, I mean, that's the kind of relentless effort and like pursuit that I truly believe we have to apply and practice, and like, you know, kind of strengthen the discipline in every goal and every aspect that we're actually trying to get better at. Because if we don't, then, I mean, I don't want to be the one to tell you, but it's like, you're wasting your goddamn time. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And I mean, even just realizing like, what are your goals? Are you setting effective goals, right? Are you setting goals that, you know, are going to be achievable in a month? Are they goals that you need to work at for 6 months? Are they goals that you need to work at for 12 months? You know, what are the goals that you're setting? But realize that, you know, you can set SMART goals. We've talked about, you know, vision boards. We've talked about breaking large goals down into sub-mini goals or milestones, right? But at the end of the day, you have to set a plan. If you don't have a plan, you're just wandering around, you know. And if your goal is to get, you know, from California to, you know, Florida, and you weren't using GPS or a map, like, what's the likelihood that you're going to get there? Right? Probably not that likely. But if you have GPS or you have a map, your likelihood goes up significantly, right? So same things are for your goals in any area of life. Set your plan, set your trajectory, and stay on that, right? There might be detours along the way, but at the end of the day, you're still on that same path. You might get there 5 minutes late, but you still showed up.
That's right. Barb said, there are a few comments. I didn't see it. Shout out to people in the comments. Thank you. We appreciate you guys. Barb said, I love listening to all Nick's motivational quotes. Oh, thanks, Barb. I mean, honestly, like I say those motivational quotes and things like that, and given most of the time they're on the fly. Then I'm like, oh, damn, I should say that. But the way I think about it in my head, it's like, yes, it's motivation, but it is still coming from either experience or just things that I have understood, and being able to try to help the person of whoever I'm saying it to kind of see it in a different way, in a more optimistic way, right? So, I mean, that I appreciate the kudos to that, but honestly, the motivational quotes is to try to help you guys reignite the fire, yes, but also to cultivate the discipline, to practice the discipline, because motivation is great, but discipline is what it's going to get you from your beginning to your end goal, right? Mm-hmm. G, I'm proud of you too. Thanks. I'm proud of you, G.
I think she was talking about the person you were referencing, because then Barb says she is a badass.
Yeah, Jessica. I don't know if she was cool with it, but yeah, Jessica, I'm super proud of you. So it is Jessica that's pushing through.
I mean, no one name dropped. You just ratted her out. Everyone else just said she, and I'm proud of you. Jessica, sorry, put you on blast. That was it.
Oh, yeah.
Things that we've talked about in the past also that I want you to dive into is like, how does gratitude play a role in it?
Gratitude? I think gratitude is one of the most important things, because
I'm not gonna lie to that. Like, gratitude, it's just an attitude.
That's not a lie. That is a fact. Gratitude is an attitude. You know what I mean? To me, us showing gratitude for everything, and when I say everything, it's not just the wins, it's not just the good days. It's showing gratitude for the obstacles and the problems that come up, along the path or along the journey. You may not be grateful for it in the moment, but when you look back at it, it is gonna give you that, that hindsight thing, or at least that understanding that it's like it was put there for a reason, right? It gives you that full understanding, why you had to overcome this certain obstacle, because it needed to teach you a lesson. It needed to give you the skills. It needed you to gain the strength to overcome something for you to get at least a step closer to where you're trying to get to, right? And on top of that, with gratitude, it's like kind of like the perception thing. It's like, if we're taking everything for granted, or if we're just never showing value to the things that we have, the people around us, or anything like that, the energy that we give off is it's kind of hard to articulate this, but not spoiled, but it's like it's the opposite. It's ungrateful. How do you expect to to draw people closer to you? How do you expect to make progress when, like, you're not thankful for the opportunities or even the things that you have at the moment? You know what I mean? And I think too, it's like, I know it's not like ideal to compare ourselves to other people, but if we think of it that we have opportunities, we have people and stuff like that, we get a chance to wake up the next day, other people don't, and the resources that we have, where we live, so on and so forth, it's like other people don't have that. You know what I mean? Can you imagine being in a way less situation that you were in right now? You would probably lose your shit. You know what I mean? Some people would literally go crazy. So I think waking up every single day and having gratitude for everything, and is just a major key factor in not only being successful, but being a good human, being a good person overall. You know what I mean? That's my take on it.
No, I think some of the things that we've talked about with gratitude is like, as well, you can journal, you can, because that's how some people reflect. I personally don't do that, But, you know,
I saw your diary in the back. Dear diary.
that was yours. You left it. No, I mean, some people it does work, right? For me personally, you know, that it's just a method that doesn't work, right? But other areas, you know, so when's the last time you sent a gratitude message, a text message to someone that you noticed, you know, like you guys mentioned earlier, Jess, you know, when's the last time you sent a message? Hey, you know, I've noticed how hard you're pushing. Like, I'm grateful to see, you know, the progress that you've made. It's so awesome. I'm grateful that you're a friend. I'm grateful, blah, blah, blah. Right. Those things do go a long way, not just for yourself, but also for the person that you're sending it to. But also realizing, like Nick was saying, you don't just be grateful for the moments of success or the moments of progress. Be grateful for every moment, because every moment is building you to become the version of you that you were designed to be. If you're unhappy with where you currently are right now, realize that is an accumulation of the last 3 months, 6 months, year of the actions and inactions that you did or didn't do. What is the next 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months going to look like for you? Right? Be grateful that you acknowledged that you needed to shift right now and didn't realize it in a year. Be grateful that you had the ability to have that self-awareness. Be grateful that you have the opportunity to make that change, because not everyone does. Right? So again, doing that and being grateful puts you in this gratitude mindset where the world, is weird how it works, but when you're grateful for things, the world starts putting more things in front of you that you're going to be grateful for. Right? And same thing with opportunity, right? If you feel that, you know, other people are just born lucky, no, they just have an abundance mindset that they see opportunities in things. You have more of a closed-minded, you know, look on the same perspective, so you don't see the opportunity. You're not grateful for what's presented in front of you, so things aren't going to be put there for you to see, right? So this is your time to shift that mindset and be grateful for every moment. Be grateful for that you woke up. Be grateful that you had the ability to go work out today.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, like now it's starting to make sense why Barb said that. It's because like every topic and everything, you know, every lesson that we talk about, it's like I can me personally, this is just how I do it. It's like I can kind of tie it in with something that I've heard or like a quote or anything like that, because it is, you know, it has a deeper explanation to it. Point being, there's that one saying that we actually said on the podcast, previous podcast, where it's life.
Like a box of chocolates?
No, no, Forrest. It was that life is best understood looking at it backwards.
What the fuck? We never said that.
No, it was something like that. Like life is.
We have never said that. Why would you look at life backwards?
No, hold on. No, life is better. No, life is understood looking at it backwards. Something like that.
Well, yeah.
It was something along
those lines. That makes more sense.
Like life is more understood looking at it backwards.
Right. It's hindsight.
Yeah. So hindsight. It's, with that being said, it's like things don't necessarily make sense in the moment, especially when things are going wrong or when you're faced with obstacles. But then later on, you look back and it's like, oh damn, you know, like that's why that happened. Or oh damn, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Now it makes sense now because you're looking back at it. You're looking back on it. But taking that into consideration, now that we're still kind of, you know, looking forward and kind of living our life, it's kind of understanding that, okay, everything that is coming my way, I should have an approach or a mindset of positivity, optimism. Even the problems, it's like, okay, this is something that I'm currently facing. How do I solve it is one. And two, it's like, what is the positive things that I can take out of this? You know what I mean?
Nicole just ratted you out. She said it was from a movie trailer. We heard that quote.
Yeah, because it was, man. Like,
yeah, you said we said it on a podcast.
We did.
We never said that.
We did. I promise you, I have good memory. We did say that.
Of you and Nicole watching a movie trailer, we have never said that shit. I've never heard that.
Or maybe it was a different thing, but it was something along those lines about
Thank you, Nicole.
Thanks a lot. Having a better understanding of things or things that happen in our life when we look at it in hindsight.
Right.
You know.
And to kind of go into that, because it is true, right? When you do think about things like that, and realizing that it's not just it makes sense, but you can also view it in a way of, dang, if it did work out then, this would have never happened.
Mm-hmm.
If it did happen this way, I would never have had the opportunity of this, right? So you start to understand why things didn't work out, but also the opportunities that you would have missed out if it did work out. The lessons that you wouldn't have learned if it worked the first time. You're going to have to face that lesson at some point. And so if you didn't face it today, you're going to face it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the better method, right? It's like the cows and the buffalo. Do you know that one?
No.
Okay. I was waiting for you to look at me like, what the fuck do you mean cows and buffaloes? But when there's a storm coming, right? And it's an obstacle. Cows, cows run away from the storm by nature.
I didn't know that. But
Buffaloes run towards the storm.
why?
Most people would think, just off the bat, because they're brave. No, it's because they know that the storms move, right? And so
I see.
if a buffalo runs towards the storm, they're going to get through the storm faster than the cows are going to try to outrun the storm, which they're not going to outrun because they're going to get tired and then they're going to be stuck in the storm.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the analogy for the cows and the buffaloes.
Yeah, and that's actually
the thing is bison. Maybe it's bison. Is a bison and a buffalo the same thing?
Oh my God, I don't know. But buffalo and a bison.
Interesting.
If you guys know, let us know. But I don't know if it's the same thing. But that I
Maybe
actually
they're cousins.
No.
Why would they would have the same name if they're the same thing?
Okay, that's true.
Because a bison, a buffalo, and a cow, fairly similar.
Yeah.
And a bull.
Well, that sounds like a bunch of bull.
No,
No, but I do really like that actually. Like, that analogy, because it like if we think about it, it's like we're so busy running away from problems sometimes. It's like a problem it stays a problem. You know what I mean? Like running away from it, it's not going to solve it.
Mm-hmm.
If you actually think about that, we run away from problems thinking that it's going to get solved running away from it rather than facing it and solving it. Like, boom. Like,
not gonna lie, I just thought of I just remembered a 50 Cent quote he said when he was doing an interview. It's not related, but it is related. It's about having
50
a problem.
Cent?
Yeah.
Take me to the candy shop?
No. No. It was, people always think that, because I always say, people ask, do you want a problem? I never want a problem. But when they are like, they want a problem, then no problem. Right. And so when people, say that, well, why do you say, no problem? It's like, because I don't want a problem. But if you want a problem, then no problem.
That's not a problem.
Right.
We could solve it real quick.
But there's a little side tangent.
I mean, it makes sense. And if we're doing music bars, I mean, also when we prolong problems, it can make either you're suffering or anything like that much longer, much worse, or it can make the actual problem itself, not just your time, prolonging it. It can make the problem bigger, right? So it's like the bar that said, "Yesterday's price is not today's price."
You just got to lose yourself in the music, the moment.
Slim Shady. I was honestly laughing because I was like, wait, who said that?
Yeah. Your turn.
I'm out.
But I mean, again, all these things tie into you just have to try.
Mm-hmm.
200 episodes, and the lesson learned is just fucking go for it. What
are either one or some of your favorite episodes or these topics that we covered? I know I threw that one at you. I
mean, there's been a lot. I mean, there's been some. I think one of the most memorable ones. Not necessarily the episodes in general, but some of the lessons or the perspective changes. I will say the E plus O equals R was a huge one. And it's you have events that happen in your life and you have no control of those events, but the event happens to you. And then the O is the outcome. When it happens to you, what is the outcome how your reaction is? It's E plus R equals O. Mm-hmm. So it's an event happens to you and then there's your reaction. Mm-hmm. And then your reaction causes an outcome, right? So when you think about that, your result, your R, or your response to that is create an outcome. Well, an outcome is an event for someone else, right? So it's in a chain event. So you have to think your EQ or your emotional intelligence has to evolve so that you don't have a more erratic, reaction to the smallest things. But also that comes down to like, where are you relieving your stress? Working out, all these other things, they relieve that. So you're not essentially blowing up on, small problems, small hurdles, because now you're affecting someone else's life and they can't do anything about it, but you could have. Right. So that was a big one, as well as the white belt mentality. Right. The white belt mentality essentially is with martial arts, you go from white belt all the way through the ranks and you become a black belt. Right. So it's the white belt versus the black belt mentality. And so if you have a black belt mentality, you think that you achieved it, you're done, you're there. But you always have to have a white belt mentality, because even if you think when you get to black belt, then there's black belt first degree, second degree, third degree, you're not done yet. You're not there yet.
Yeah.
If you didn't get that, that was one of my, previous quotes. You want a tissue?
Wipe them.
Wipe those tears. You're not done yet. But I mean, realize that you can always learn more. You can always improve more. You can always become a better version of yourself. You can always show up better. You can become a better dad. You can become a better friend. You can become a better fill in the blank. Right? What was one of your favorite?
I was just waiting for you to say it. We've had a lot of good ones. Some of my favorite ones that I think, kind of like I think like resonates a lot with me, but I think touches a lot of people too, is the one where we think that everything that we do kind of revolves around us or anything, not kind of taking into consideration that everybody has their own like universe going around them, right? Like where one thing that you may do, like, you say hi to somebody and like maybe their interaction with you was not the best, but it's like, okay, what the fuck is wrong with this person? You know what I mean? But not realizing that maybe this person is having a bad day. Maybe something bad happened to this person. You know what I mean? And kind of having that understanding, kind of taking that bigger step and like kind of like trying to talk to this person and the other person and saying like, like, hey, you okay? Is everything okay? Like, are you having something happen? You're having a bad day? And then kind of resolving the issue from there. But I think that was one of my favorite ones, as far as like each individual having, more compassion and at least understanding that not everything that is our perception applies to everyone else as well. Like everyone has their own perspectives and things that they have going on with them. So kind of being more, a good person to another person, I guess, was one of my favorite ones. I mean, it sounds cliche, but one of my favorite ones is the never give up one. This is one of
episode 2.
Yeah, episode 2. Episode 2, the never give up. I mean, it's not
the audio quality isn't as good, but the message hits.
Oh, on episode 2?
Yeah.
So if you guys didn't listen to that one, if you haven't heard that one yet, go to episode. I sound like Andy Priscilla right now.
If you haven't heard that one, scroll your ass back and, hit that one.
197 episodes up. That the never give up one. Not just because you and I both have it tatted on us, but, we live and abide by that it's like, no matter what you do, no matter.
You just name dropped that we have matching tattoos.
We have 2 matching tattoos. Just
man, you didn't have to go with that. I was leaving that part out. Like, come on.
It's all right, bro. It's only awkward if you make it awkward. But it's something that we definitely live and abide by. That also, it doesn't matter what you individually are going after, what your goals are. No matter what it is, you have to go at it with full intent, and that every effort that you put in, you never give up. If your goal is to be the best person that you can be, in everything that you do, that's a great goal to have. But you can never give up on it. No matter what actions and you deem to be the right actions to be, you go at it with full intent. And it's as direct as it is. Never give up.
Stand on business. You can't fail if you don't give up. Right? There is a solution to every problem. There's a solution to every plateau. There's a solution to whatever you are facing. You just can't give up, and you have to be willing to push forward and find that next, tool to get you over it, right? The people that you look up to, and the people that are successful, just didn't give up. They just tried one more time. And that's all you have to do to achieve any goal you want in life, is just try one more time, right? The next note, I don't know if you want to talk about it, I'll say it, and you can give me a head shake, and we'll pass on through, was how passion drives purpose. All right. So I'll let you take it away, but with that, it's like realizing that, passion and purpose, there is an alignment, but there also is the separation between the two as well. But I'll let you take that one away, and, you can run with it where you want.
All right. Passion drives purpose. So every one of us, if we actually sit down and ask ourselves, like, what is our purpose? What are we driving towards? And why do we drive towards where we're driving, right? And that your passion for something doesn't necessarily, you don't just wake up, or you don't wake up and have a passion for something immediately, right? To me, my opinion is like passion, you develop passion, right? You develop passion, and like whatever and it goes hand in hand, it goes in line with, what your current purpose, or what you feel your purpose is at that moment, or at that time frame of your life, is going to be, fueled, or at least like powered by your and how well, and how much intent you put into it is backed up by your passion, and you develop that passion more and more as you continue to pursue, that purpose that you're driving towards, right? Is there anything you want to say?
Oh, I agree with everything you're saying. And you have to realize that I think people mix up passion and purpose, right? Because something that you're doing has a purpose, but it doesn't necessarily mean you need to be passionate about it at the moment. Because you're going to feel passion, then you're not going to feel passion. But at the end of the day, it's your purpose, right? And so with that being said, even like, we'll take that same word and take it into relationships, right? Not every day of a relationship do you feel the quote unquote passion, but every day that that's your purpose to be in that relationship, right? And so forth. So, right. So it's like they do blend, but they don't always need to align to mean you're still on your path, right? And if they don't align, and you readjust and you find a new purpose, or you feel that, your purpose has shifted, then by all means, again, that's your right to do so. There's no, right way, there's no wrong way to do life. At the end of the day, make sure that you're doing it to your full intent, and making sure that you're living the life that you want, right? And filling your cup. Because if you're not filling your cup, then essentially you can't fill anyone else's cup, right? But at the end of the day, you have to be consistent. You have to realize that if it doesn't work out, what's the worst that's going to happen? It didn't work out. Now what? Right? Okay.
You want me to say?
No, it's up to you.
Okay, say what you were going to say.
No, I was going to go to the next topic. If you want to talk about it, talk about it.
All right.
Camera's on you, brother.
Yeah, just to add on to what you're saying, or really add on to what you're saying, about us having, the understanding your purpose is inside internally, that only we know, like, the true purpose that we have for ourselves, right? Because we can do things that, in action and things like that, and kind of work towards something, but if it's not necessarily what you feel is your purpose, or where your, like, what your life thing to be is, then it's not going to sync up. You know what I mean? And I think it's not going to be backed up by your effort, by at least like your intent and your energy. And like Devin was saying, what you were saying was that I think that one of the worst things is to not be true to yourself. And exactly what we had said in the beginning of this episode, it's you only have one life, And you only get one shot, right? You only get one chance at this. You don't want to be at the very end thinking of regrets and like kind of wishing that you did things differently. So
I will say, before you go into that, I'll give you a second to collect it. It's one thing to add to that too is your purpose can shift, but it doesn't necessarily mean that your passion has to follow. Sometimes things in life happen that you have to adjust your purpose. You want to adjust your purpose, but it doesn't mean that you've lost passion.
mm-hmm.
And so with that, you have to realize that you can still love something, but your purpose is more important than what your passion is.
Mm-hmm. I thank you for that, because that was honestly, that's as true as it can be. You know, you can love something, you can support something, you know, but if it's not in line, or you're wherever you are in the point of your life that your purpose is somewhere else, then, you know, you do what you got to do, because then again, you're going to end up living with regret. I thought you were about to cry. You know, but with that being said, your purpose changes. Life is short and quick, but also within that time frame of life, things change. You know, things change, and you develop, and you become a different person, so on and so forth, and your purpose changes. And it is up to us to take full responsibility and, you know, do what is necessary to fulfill that purpose. So, and if you need to make a pivot and make proper adjustments, then that is what you know, I think everybody, well, no, I know everybody should do. I can definitely relate to that. And, you know, just to kind of share my own perspective on it, I was you know, faced with that like kind of same situation where my purpose has changed, you know. And I think this was a good time, the 200th episode, to be fully transparent and, you know, share with you guys, if you guys end up hearing this, that my purpose would, when Devin and I first started, our purpose was like in line, was in sync. You know what I mean? Now currently where I am in my life, my purpose has shifted, and it's hard, especially like, you know, with especially when it's like it's all, you know, and like kind of thinking of, at least like for me, I think of other people and stuff like that, but us having that full understanding and having to accept what your purpose is crucial. So with that being said, my purpose has shifted, and you know, it's heartbreaking for me, but also I'm happy, you know, to do the right thing, to be going on my own way. You know, going on my way as far as strive. You know, I still fully support, and like I love, and like I back everything up. Like Devin is my brother through and through, you know, and we've had the heart to heart conversation, but and it's nothing to take away from any of this, you know, because no matter what, it's going to make it, you know. But with me being honest and true to myself as a person, as, you know, to me, I have to do what's right, you know, and that being my purpose has changed, and I have to make a pivot, and I have to go my own way, you know. So yeah, I mean, I truly, like, from the bottom of my heart, like, love everything and everybody, you know, and things like that. And I mean that. But I also want to say to everybody that, you know, if you do end up hearing this, like, be true to yourself, you know, wherever you find like your purpose, and wherever, you know, your life has to, and where you want to go, that is what you have to pursue. That is what you have to pursue, because you don't want to spend your life looking back and thinking like, damn, I didn't do what I needed to do. I didn't do what I needed or wanted to do. So, and I can't say that or give that as an advice without taking my own advice. So still, lead by example. And you have no idea how hard those words are for me for it to come out, like, especially in this time. But when you know it's right, it's right. So.
I mean, you had some comments in there. Yes, you're gonna still see him in the videos. But at the same time, like, we've had this conversation. We had the conversation with our team as well, and we fully support. And Nick, like you said, is before this and after this, like, me and him are our family. And at the end of the day, I don't want to hold him back from doing anything he wants to achieve, and I want to make sure that he's living his life to his full potential as well. And so sometimes life events happen and your purpose has to switch, regardless of if it's a new passion or anything like that. Sometimes it's just you need to achieve certain things in order to fulfill a purpose that has been presented to you, right? So at the end of the day, it's not like me and him are breaking up, because I know his passion is me. I'm just kidding.
We'll always be passionate for each other.
No, but all jokes aside, if at the end of the day, we're always here for him, and he'll be in and out here and there, if possible. But again, this one, I was kind of delaying the 200th episode because it was a little bit more like symbolic, hitting a milestone, because we've hit so many milestones together that, I told him ahead of time, if he didn't want to talk about it, he didn't have to. It's all up to him. But, for those of you guys that do know,
just so
both of you guys that, any of you guys that do know, you also get to treasure the time that, he is here as well. And that's something that me and him had talked about as well, is like, it doesn't mean it's fully over. You still get to live in the moment, be present, and enjoy, your life fully.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And honestly, kind of trying to reel it back into like what we're trying to cover. I appreciate Devin, honestly. Like, I told him when we had this conversation that it is, at first, when I first said it to him, it's probably one of the hardest, but no, it is the hardest conversation I've ever had in my entire life. And for me to even have that conversation, it's having the acceptance within myself, and fully embracing it, because then I was not who I am, not taking, being able to accept, or wanting to accept it or take responsibility at first. And that was the biggest, mistreatment that you can do for yourself. And it comes to a point where you got to think, like, everything starts with you. You can't help other people if you don't help yourself first. But with that being said, like Devin's understanding, it solidified like why he is my brother, why we crossed paths. We wouldn't be here today if me and him didn't come together in the beginning. You know what I mean? So everything happens for a reason, and you make the right decisions and you make the best of it as you can. But one of the topics that we covered in the past was surround yourself with the right people. Tell me who your friends are, tell me who you surround yourself with, and I'll tell you who you are. Well, this guy sitting across from me, understanding and, still supporting. And the thing is, he knows that I told him, like, bro, even if I'm like physically not here, you call me and you need anything, before you hang up the phone, I'm probably on my way already, So, and like, surround yourself with the best people. And to me, I'm truly grateful, gratitude. I'm truly grateful to have gotten a brother, that I found a brother later on in life that I would never want to let go of this person,
No, definitely. And I mean, with that being said, I'm not going to switch the camera back to me. Make sure you guys share this episode with a friend, right? We appreciate you guys.
we appreciate you guys. Honestly, we love you. And you know, if you guys have any friends or family that you guys would like to share, like the previous episode or this episode, that you think that they would find some value and be able to help out, because you know that we do this, Devin does this, you know, to try to help everybody out and provide some form of value for somebody that does need it. So share it. You know what I mean? And yeah, all I can say is we honestly, truly love you guys and appreciate you for all your love and support. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
No negative vibes, only positive thoughts. This in the game of life, mindset calls the shots. Got my mind on the prize, I can't be distracted. I stay on my grind, no time to be slacking. I hustle hard, I go get